This is going to be going over everything there is to know about specialty changes. We've got a little tier list, which I'll go over in a little bit. But for now, let's take a look at the specialty change guide first. This is just a giant Google sheet that has pretty much everything you'll need for specialty changes. Here it just lists out the units and roughly their value. You also have these tabs here, Warriors, Knights, just by class. It shows the missions for every specialty change and how you can clear them. There is one thing I need a little bit of help with because the scale of it is a bit too large, but we'll go over that in a bit. There's also the skill tree costs, where here you can see at each enhanced level of the skill tree how many runes it will cost you. The total is 410 greater runes and 40 epic runes. Might as well just do that, I guess. So this is the full total for how many runes you'll need. And there is one more thing, which is just a lot of these missions have overlapping requirements. Like in Spirit Altar, Carrot asks you to do Spirit Altar 150 times. And if you're going to be doing that, you might as well make progress on the other Spirit Altar missions. Or something like Carrot and Pyllis. Carrot asks you to kill 500 monsters in Rengar, and that stage also has Nightmare Keepers, so you might as well be doing Pyllis' specialty change at the same time. And Falconer Cleary also, the Rare Oath Catalysts drop on the stage that you farm for both of these missions, so you could also do it there. Then Ross also has Eliminate 500 Unknowns, but there is a reason why you might necessarily do his 500 together with Carrot. So let's talk about that, because this is also what I kind of need help with. On these farming stages where it says eliminate however many of a monster, you can actually do these in side stories. So instead of farming episode 1 chapter 2 63 times, while you're doing your bi-weekly side story, if you select a side story that has the mob that you need to kill, like Basar's side story, then you can make a bit of progress on your specialty change mission just while doing your bi-weekly side story, pretty much. It's essentially free progress. The thing is, there are so many side stories, and I'm not really going to be able to track every single one of them. Some of these missions don't have great places to farm their, like, the mobs. Like Falconer Cleary, episode 2, chapter 4 for her wild plants. Not that she's really worth doing her specialty change, but like this one's annoying. More importantly is probably Angelic Montmorancy, where her eliminate 300 spirits is really annoying to do. It's 76 runs in episode 2, chapter 2. So stuff like that. This one was also, at least we have a stage for it. It's just Magical Schalor Doris. 250 dark rooms, the farming stage, is Solitaria boss fight. And some of these have unrecorded history listed still, but it's like you don't really want to be spamming runs in unrecorded history just because you're not getting any AP there anymore. At least this one we know you can do Tamarin's side story for it, but you're going to finish the Tamarin's side story eventually, so. Basically, if you are doing your side stories and you notice any stages that can be used to fulfill a specialty change requirement, then let me know. I'll check and I will add it to this list, and hopefully we can get some better farming stages for some of these missions. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the tier list. So these are all of the specialty change units, and it's pretty much loosely ordered in each tier, but we can go over why each of these units are good, and we can also take a look at their missions real quick. So, Adventurer Ross, he is our protagonist. You get him for free at the start of the game, and he's really good for PvE, plus he has usage in PvP right now. Of course, with Brieg kind of overshadowing him a bit in PvE, his usage in PvE has fallen a little bit, but he's still pretty good. His Soulburn spammable S2 makes him great for manual play. And because he gets used in PvP anyways, we're going to be building him, so he is just straight up here. His missions aren't anything too special. It's just build a 500 unknown, which you just farm in these two spots. gift 6 Rare Oath Catalysts. You can just get these and give it to him. And then 200 Runes in Spirit Altar isn't too much. Keep in mind though, like the min-maxing tab I mentioned, his missions can be done with other people's combined. And then we have Amiki. Amiki is a complete menace in PvP. There's a lot of situations where you can pick her and she just 1v4s the entire enemy team. So definitely a really nice unit to have. Not even just for RTA, even in Guild War and Arena. There's some team comps where you use her. She is kind of annoying to gear though, just because her gear is so hyper-specific. It's counter with either immunity or pen or even broken set. And then all she wants is attack and F-res. So because you're trying to only hit 2 specific stats, with maybe like 2.5 because flat attack rolls are acceptable, it's really hard to do that. So she ends up being one of the harder units to gear, or at least to get a super good one. I would say she works pretty decently, even just on like okay gear. But she's really good in PvP, so definitely worth building. Plus, her gear has 0 people contesting it because it is such a hyper niche stat combination. And then for her missions, you don't really get to unlock her until you finish all of episode 5. So it does take you a while. Then her missions are also nothing too special. It's just do this one stage 25 times. And then there is Commander Lorina. Commander Lorina, she's pretty much the best or one of the best single target DPSs for PvE content. Even on stages where the bosses are immune to her max HP % damage, she still does a ton of damage. And when you run her with dual attackers, her S1 CR push lets her cycle so much. There is the thing where with Fene being story summonable now, Fene is kind of just better in most situations, but even with Fene existing, I think she's still worth building. Just a really nice unit to have around. Lorina, Warrior, this one takes forever. Eliminate 1,500 monsters an episode, including side story. This takes a really, really long time. This is one of the missions where I have them all listed down here, but this is one of the missions that I would say probably, if you're not focusing any specialty change, just put Commander Lorina in so you can clear this over time. You'll just get it done eventually. So Nightmare Queen doesn't exist anymore. Let's take this out. But yeah, her other missions aren't anything too special. 120 exchange points. You'll get that easily while doing your 1,500 kills, and then this is just get some catalysts from the AP exchange. Rounding out the S tier is Verdant Adin. Verdant Adin is mostly up here just because she's free. You get all of her stuff pretty much for free. You do have to do some of her missions, which the missions are all listed over here. And she has 4 different forms. I would say right now the only form you really won't care about is Verdant. You get Verdant, it's the first one you get. After you finish Chapter 5, you get Verdant. You can see all of the missions here and how to clear them. After Verdant, I don't even think I listed out the rest because it doesn't really matter. The Fire one is completely useless. The Ice one will... I guess I can just mention them now. You can see them down here. I completely forgot about Fire. Fire Adin. Here we go. Fire Adin is pretty much completely useless. Ice is decent in Ancient Inheritance, so it's definitely not a reason to go it. And then Light is also pretty decent in Ancient Inheritance. She's supposed to be a PvP unit, Light Adin, but she just is not very good anymore. So I would say you just stay Verdant, because Verdant is just nice to have for PvE, I think. There's a lot of situations on my main account where I'm like, wow, it would be really nice if I had Verdant Adin, but I don't. I'm on Serene Purity right now, and I don't feel like switching back because switching back costs currency, so you might as well just stay Verdant once you hit it. For Verdant Adin's usage, Light Expedition is one place she really shines, because she's got good debuffs on heal or unbuffable, Death Break, Speed Down, really good cycling and short cooldowns, plus the Weakness Shared buff that she gets after using S3 boosts everybody's damage dealt, and she's good in Challenge Abyss as well, and I think pretty frequently as a budget free-to-play DPS in Hall of Trials, so you might as well just stay on Verdant because the rest of the other ones aren't that good anyway. And like I mentioned, you can see all of Verdant Adin's missions here. I'm not going to go over this every time Adin pops up on the tier list. Now we have the A tier. I would say all of these units are still worth building in the A tier. There's really like not much difference between A and S. You build all of these units, I think. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think Mascot Hazel, honestly, is kind of a unit you always build no matter what. But, well, it's fine. We'll just leave it like this. There's some other units here that might be like that. Mascot Hazel, first up. She is a healer/buffer for fire units. She gives attack buff to all allies, greater attack buff to one fire unit, free attack, free effectiveness to fire allies. Anywhere you're using fire units, Mascot Hazel's probably going to be really good. She gets used in, what is that called? Earth Expedition, Trial of the Constellations against Rays in both Nightmare and Perdition difficulties, plus she gets used pretty frequently in Hall of Trials. A really nice unit to have around, plus in Advents, whenever using fire DPSs, she gets used. Just because of how good she is with fire units specifically, I think she's really like future-proof too. Like if there's going to be future content that uses fire units, you can expect to see Mascot Hazel. Definitely one of the higher priority units, I think. Her missions are pretty simple, honestly, except this one is also one that takes really, really long. 150 hunts takes forever. Rift does count as a hunt, by the way, so you can do this while clearing hunt. And then 300 monsters is not that much, honestly, especially compared to Commander Lorina's 1500 monsters. But you definitely want to make sure you have Mascot Hazel, or just Hazel, as your active specialty change whenever you're farming Hunt or Rift. And then we have Researcher Carrot, who got moved up a lot, honestly, with the new content that's out. She's really good for Rift. It doesn't matter what Rift team you're running. Like with Robin, she's good with Robin from RC1 to RC14. And then for teams without Robin, she's good from RC1 through 21. So, a really nice unit to have around. And even after Rift is gone, she works really well in Trial of the Constellations as a free-to-play burn option. So I think she's just really good right now, and definitely worth farming out. For her missions, she's a mage. 500 monsters in Ringguard, we talked about this a little bit earlier. This overlaps with a lot of units. You can clear her missions together with them. And then 150 Spirit Altars was also mentioned. This one takes a pretty long time if you're doing Spirit Altar. Make sure you have Carrot in your slot, and also some other units that also want Spirit Altar clears or rune drops like Ross. We also have Shadow Knight Pyllis. Shadow Knight Pyllis is here for Trial of the Constellations against Ethel. She is the free-to-play option for your Provoker, and he also sees usage in Guild War as a tank, so she is just really good because she's used in both PvE and PvP. We can take a look at her missions. 150 Nightmare Keepers. This is 75 runs on the stage that we just talked about, the one where you have to do Carrot 2 and Ross. And then 100 Friendship Points to hit level 4. Besides that, this is just to go kill Mirsa real quick. So pretty basic stuff here. And then we have All-Rounder Wanda. All-Rounder Wanda is also for Trial of the Constellations against Ethel. She isn't as important because I think there's a lot of DPS units for that slot, but because it's a dark boss, you might not have them because they can be pretty hard to get. So she ends up being a really good free-to-play option, and she does have her own bonus of her hit chance is so high that she's guaranteed to hit the boss when it has evasion. That lets you DPS the boss while it's hiding behind its evasion buff. She's also pretty cheap to build, honestly, and there is a different blessing for a different tree where you can use Wanda as one of the units for that slot. So kind of a 2-for-1 in her Trial to Constellation usage, you can use her against Ethel and then use her in a Blessing slot against a different boss. Missions, Rangers, 25 treasure chests. This is pretty RNG, just like getting treasure chests to spawn, so this is one of the ones that you want to just have active in the background whenever you're doing episode or side story. And then 1,000 crafting materials from any hunt. You unfortunately do have to do a hunt for this. You can't really do Rift. But just put Wanda as your active specialty change while you clear hunts. And this is one that you could do together with Hazel, just because you have to do Hunter 150 times anyways. Next up is Zealot Carmainerose. Zealot Carmainerose is nice against Light Expedition, and her debuffs make her good against Golem too, I guess, but Golem is not super important. She gets used a ton in Ancient Inheritance as well. For her... Well, we can talk a bit more about her usage first. So she's good against Light Expedition, but Light Expedition, that role that she fills, has a lot of units. Verdant Adin is one of them, Camilla is one of them. There's Cerise, Cerise, because she costs Mola and is kind of useless, maybe not worth building. Same thing with Chloe. But if you have Verdant Adin and Camilla, then you might not find yourself using Carmainerose that much. But if you want to swap your Adin, like maybe in the future somebody gets buffed, then Carmainerose becomes a very appealing option again all of a sudden. For her missions, 50 arena battles. It says wins, you actually do have to win these, but it's just normal arena, so not a huge deal. Camp in Labyrinth 2 times, then kill 250 monsters. Pretty basic stuff. We also have Ainos 2.0. Ainos 2.0 is... I think she was supposed to be a cleave, or not, maybe cleave / aggro PvP unit, but now she's kind of just a PvE unit, and she's honestly pretty good at it. I mainly use her in Ice Expedition against the boss there, because her CR push from S2 lets you cycle off the fatigue really quickly. She's got attack buff and speed buff on her S3, plus death break on her S1. Just really good utility all around. And she also sees usage against Dark Expedition as well. And I was using her just as like a filler slot in Trial to Constellations, though I don't think she's super good there. Though she does fill in one of the blessing slots against one of the bosses. So that's also another bonus for her. Just a really good unit all around, I think, and she is great in Ancient Inheritance as well. For her missions, Ainos is down here. You have to kill 30 analysis drone monsters with Ainos on the team. I think this is the first one we've seen. Wasn't really paying attention to the rest of them. Oh, Adin had a bunch of these. But these missions where they say kill or defeat the monster with the unit, you need to have them on the team for the mission to actually count. If you do a run of this stage without Ainos on your team, it's not going to count. And then Friendship level 5 is not super hard, but basically, I should add in the exact number later. But it's just clear some stages with her, or just give her some gifts to speed it up if you need to. And we have Christy. Christy is really nice for Arena and Guild War. She's really good for some of these, like, single carry comps where you just load up a bunch of stats into the backline unit. Like, I use her with Abigail to protect MLK Ron. She used to get used a lot with Arya as well. Her passive, just giving the backline slot a ton of F-res, can make it pretty hard for them to get debuffed. Plus she gives attack buff on her S3 as well. And then for her missions, these are also pretty basic. The only thing is the friendly trust level in Lafundos. You do need to go do those missions there. And 10 Proof of Courage doesn't take that long. This is like maybe a week just by doing your world boss. He's also dropped from episode. Yep. It's pretty much just a res stack unit due to her passive that lets her share her her F-res with the unit in the back slot. And then we have Doris. Doris and Montmorancy, they're... Well, we'll talk about them separately, but they both are mainly for their later PvP Guild War units. Magic Schalor Doris is just really good against dark units that are single target. because she will draw their aggro, she will take all of the hits, and she will not die very easily. Plus, she has pretty good buffing, AoE defense buff plus heal buff, and her S3 is a sizable heal with the CR push, is really nice utility. You also see her pop up here and there in Hall of Trials, is really her only PvE usage, but it is something, at least. It's a pretty decent unit to have built for Guild War, especially at a lower level, but even in high-end Guild War, you still use Doris a decent amount. For her, this one, 250 Dark Brooms, that we talked about a little bit earlier. You do some of it in the Tamarind side story. And then 1500 Stigma is honestly not that much anymore, just with the way the Stigma overflow bar works now, but you can keep her active in the background while you're clearing stages in episode. Or side story. I think this works with side story. Or side story. Then rounding out A tier, we have Angelic Montmorancy. She kind of just keeps on falling down in value because you don't need her to tank Wyvern anymore. We just use Brieg. Plus they removed her from connections anyways. So you Grace of Growth Angelica and then you swap to Brieg. And then her endgame PvE usage is gone now because there's no more Nightmare Carcanus. But she's still a pretty solid early game healer and cleanser. Her sustained cleanse is really nice. She's really strong against consistent small amounts of debuff, just weak against large amounts of debuffs. And she apparently gets used in Guild War. I keep on hearing people say that she's really good in high-end Guild War, but I think it's like, from what I know, it's only like the super top-end people using her. I've never seen anybody use Angelic Montmorancy before. I've only heard about it. But supposedly she is good in Guild War. Then for her missions, this is one of the ones that's annoying, the 300 spirits. I don't want to do episode 2, chapter 2 76 times, but you also kind of don't want to be doing unrecorded history because of the eShop and everything. So hopefully there is a side story that we can do to do this. And then the other missions are pretty trivial. Everything below this, I would say, is honestly not worth your time doing. I'm just going to go over them quickly. Mercenary Helga used to be used for Earth Expedition, but now we kind of just don't use her anymore. We have Brieg, Tamarind, Loka, or Ainos, plus DPS is good enough. So she is good for Ancient Inheritance. She has really good sustained Death Break, plus AoE attack buff is pretty solid. Though she does only work with green units is one thing. Then there's Savior Adin, not worth switching for because you have to farm out the currency to change her element, and you just stay Verdant, but she is good for Ancient Inheritance, and a Power Crept PvP DPS. Stream Purity Adin, really funny unit, not that good though. Same thing, she just gets used in Ancient Inheritance every once in a while, and not really worth changing to. Muse Rima, really sad that she is... So we have Mascot Hazel that works really well with fire units, Mercenary Helga that works really well with earth units, just power crept a little bit, and no specific content piece for her to go to. And there's Muse Rima, whose entire kit revolves around ice units, and she's garbage with them too. So pretty sad, though she does get used in Ancient Inheritance a little bit at least. Then Captain Ricorous, who is just Ancient Inheritance unit, because Light tends to lack a lot of options. He's kind of a lower end option though. And then there are all of these units down here, which are varying levels of bad that I'm not going to talk that much about. Alexa is worth mentioning just because her side story costs 900 Skystones. It's one of the better side stories, but 900 Skystones is a lot. And not good in terms of rewards. The story there was pretty nice. But yeah, I don't think you really need to do this. And then Righteous Thief Ruzid gets his own tier for being bad because his mission makes you spend 30 powder. That is ridiculous. This is the only, like, specialty. It's worse. Like, 900 Skystones is a lot, but whatever. 30 powder feels so bad to spend. This is, like, actively detrimental to your account if you do this. But yeah, that is all of the social change units. A lot of these units have gotten shifted around, especially with Trial of the Constellation, like Pyllis. Or Pyllis was already, like, pretty good, but Wanda skyrocketed up here all of a sudden. And hopefully this plus the this doc here, which I will link, is helpful to anybody who is trying to get their specialty changes done.